What's up, guys? It's Jeremy here. We're going to do a simple carving exercise today. We're going to make tent stakes. We're going to use one stick and turn it into 2 tent stakes. It's going to use about 3 different carving techniques. Before we start carving, we need to remember to exercise some safety. We need to make sure that we are asking permission if we're not old enough to use a knife on our own. And we need to make sure that we are always using our blood bubble. And by blood bubble, we mean basically a space around us that's as long as my arm and about 1/2 of my arm in every direction, so that no one around me gets cut while I'm carving. We also need to make sure that we never carve towards ourselves. If you slip, you're likely to cut yourself, so we need to make sure that we're exercising that protocol. I can also recommend that if you're a beginner carver, that you get your hands on some cut-free gloves. There are several options on the market these days. That might be something you might want to look into to help improve your chances for safety. Remember, if you do get cut, seek medical assistance immediately. Okay, so our first technique is going to be called the push cut. Push cut's very simple. It's as simple as taking your knife and pushing down your stick away from yourself. And we're going to use this technique to put the point on the end of our stick. Just like that. Very simple. Just a few cuts gets that done for us. Then we're going to flip our stick to the other side and do that one more time. So get it started. Just like that. So now we have a stick on one side, or sorry, a point on one side and a point on the other. And we're going to get on to the next technique, which is called the beaver chew. Okay, so the beaver chew is fairly simple. In the center of our stick, we're going to find the halfway point, roughly. We're going to take our knife, and we are very carefully going to carve in all around, almost like we're making a rosette. Our flower petals all the way around it. That's how it's going to look at first, but you're going to see why it's called a beaver chew in just a sec. Alright, so we've got it all the way around, just like so. Now we're going to flip our stick, and we're going to carve opposite that direction. And you can see that it kind of looks like what happens when a beaver chews on a tree. You'll have to pardon the grunting. I'm filming kind of an awkward angle. I don't have a lot of power in my cuts, but I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to flip one way, carve in, just like that, then flip it back over, and then I can snap it in half very easily. And now we've got our 2 stakes, and we'll get on to the next part, which is going to be called the stop notch, or number 7 notch it's sometimes called, and that's going to give us somewhere where we can tie our stakes off. Okay, I like to do this next series of tasks on top of a working platform. It makes it a little bit easier. First thing I'm going to do is flatten the tops of my stakes so that they're easier to pound into the ground and they don't get all mussed up when we whack them with a hammer or whatever. And I'll slightly chamfer the edges of those. Just like so. Slight chamfering. And chamfering just means that we're sort of reducing the amount of contact the hammer is going to have with the head of the stake. So when it hits, it's contacting a smaller portion. The next step is to do our number 7 notch, which is going to be pretty simple. about, let's say, an inch down from the top. We're going to take our knife and we're going to cut in just a straight line, just like that. That line right there. Then we're going to take our steak and we're going to push towards that line very carefully with our knife, just like that. So now when we tie a cord around this, it's going to have something to lock into so that it doesn't slip off the top of the steak when we pound it into the ground. All right, we'll do one more. About an inch down. And then cut towards it. Okay, so now we have two very simple tent steaks, nothing fancy, but they'll work just fine for anything that we need to do where we need tent stakes. And this is a really good way to save weight in your pack if you're backpacking or hiking across country, anything like that. Or if you just lose your tent stakes, or you just want to have some fun carving. But those three techniques are really important. We have the push cut, we have the beaver chew, and we have the number 7 or stop notch. And those are three little carving techniques that we should keep in good practice with, so that we can be in touch with good bushcrafting and survival skills. Have a good day, everybody.